Hello, everybody. My name is Giulia Pizzini. I work in the Life Energy and Climate Unit at CINEA, and I'm here to walk you through this session, which will present to you the topic on multi-level climate and energy dialogue to deliver the energy governance, which can be shortened into multi-level governance. So first of all, why this topic? So the main objective of this topic is to support member states in fostering a multi-level dialogue to deliver on the energy governance. And why is this needed? This is prescribed in Article 11 of Regulation 1999 of December 2018, which is the governance of the Energy Union and climate action. You see the article now in the slide. But what is important to know is that basically the governance regulations asks each member state to establish, if not already established, a dialogue in which local authorities, together with other stakeholders, should actively engage and discuss the different scenarios envisaged for energy and climate policies, including for the long terms, and review progress. Basically, the European Commission thinks that collaboration between governance levels and stakeholders is crucial to allow for delivery of the clean energy transition and the European Green Deal. However, a first analysis of the submitted NSEPs show that communications amongst different stakeholders, but above all, among different administrative levels within member states, is still unsuited to achieve the 2030 and 2050 targets. Therefore, the Commission thought that maybe it was good to help member states in creating these multi-level climate and energy dialogues. And why? What for? First of all, in view of the update of the NECPs, which is foreseen for 2023. So the draft updates are foreseen for 2023, and then further final submission in 2024, of course, the year after, and then for the monitoring and reporting on NECPs, which happens every other year. So the first one will be next year in 2022, and then it will happen from 2026 onwards once the new NECPs are submitted. So what should these actions do? These actions should respond to all of these points. So first of all, they should create or strengthen, in case these already exist, structured synergies. So create or enhance a permanent dialogue amongst stakeholders, as we saw before. So amongst, of course, public authorities, civil society, communities, academia, industry and businesses, and NGOs, to name a few, and amongst different levels of the public administration. So, of course, each member state is organized in a different level, but cities, local level, regional level, and national level. Then they should also deliver best practices, which means that the models that are implemented in some of the member states should be easily transferable, of course, allowing for the member state differences amongst all other member states. And then they should also foster integration. So make links amongst other ongoing initiatives. So for example, other policies. But now we see each of these three bullet points in a bit more in depth. So the first one is, as I said before, to create or enhance or strengthen a permanent dialogue through structured synergies amongst who? That we said before, so amongst stakeholders, civil society, communities, academia, industry and businesses, NGOs, but above all, amongst different administrative levels. Some examples of the increased coherency which is required are shown here. For example, it should be these instruments should be better connected. For example, the first logo of the Covenant of Mayors stands for the SECAPs, so the Sustainable Energy and Climate Action Plans, or the European Energy Awards, or the Smart Cities and Communities, or co-region transitions, or the Clean Energy for EU Islands, for example. All of these should feed into the NECPs. And what is the scope of this? It's first of all to increase co-definition and coherency of strategies and measures at different governance level, improve monitoring and reporting schemes at local level. So for what concerns, for example, the SECAPs or the EEAs, and national level. So for example, the NECPs or long-term renovation strategies or recovery and resilience plans to support, of course, the energy governance regulation. Then support regional initiatives, as we mentioned before, for example, coal regions in transitions or clean energy for EU islands. And institutionalize and improve governance processes and strengthen political commitment. To move on the second point, we are looking also for models, so best practices. And what are we looking for? For something that allows for a robust and consistent reporting mechanism. We look for integration of vertical and horizontal administrative layers, and this is very important. We look for a delivery of innovative monitoring and verification schemes that could go from not only top down, but also bottom up. So from a cumulative integration, for example, of all the bottom up reporting mechanisms like the SECAPs. It could be another way rather than only top down as of the NECPs. And also, last but not least, these models should take into account the energy efficiency first principle, which is defined in the same piece of legislation, so in the governance regulation that also requires member states to set up these dialogue platforms. As a third point, as already mentioned partially, we look for integration. So we want these proposals to and these platforms to make link also amongst other policies. So for example, the long-term renovation strategies or the recovery and resilience plans, which were not thought of when the NECPs were conceived. But also to other relevant initiatives. So for example, the ones that we manage in CINEA, and you can find all the information on the CINEA website, like the sustainable energy roundtables, which are running in some member states, the SCI forums events, which are also taking place in some other member states, or the Manage Energy Initiative, for example. But these are just examples. What are the impacts that we expect from these proposals? So first of all, of course, we expect these platforms to take place. So we expect dialogue platforms, which are new, in most probably, or enhanced ones in case some member states have already a similar structure. We are looking for models for reporting on NECPs. We look for institutionalized collaborations between stakeholders and public authorities at different levels. And then, of course, as output, we look at the number of updated NECPs that are updated thanks also to your projects and to the proposals that you will be submitting, and at the number of engaged stakeholders, of course. Like any other topic in this call, we also look at primary energy savings and investments in sustainable energy. But of course, in this case, these are rather indirect impacts than direct impacts. So this will not be the main or primary focus of the evaluators when looking at your proposals. Now, finally, I would just like to reply to some questions that might arise. So these you can find on the website, on the call's website. And of course, in case you send some more questions, we will make sure to answer and publish new FAQs. So the first one is, how is the permanence of the dialogue platforms or structured synergies assessed? And that's a very good question, because of course this is the central scope of this topic. But for us, it's difficult to assess the duration after the project is over, which means that the only way we have to assess this is to trust you. So you should trust you and actually demonstrate that you will set up platforms that will last in time. So they should last long in time, and they should have a well-defined governance structure independent of European funding. So you have to convince the evaluators that even when the funding is over, these platforms will be still running, maybe because it's a ministry who's leading them, maybe because it's a national energy agency, maybe because anyway, the structure that you think of will demonstrate in the proposal that lasts long and even without EU funding after the action is over. The second question is if only one of the bullet points under the scope can be addressed, and this is an easy answer because it's no. We think that all 3 bullet points need to be assessed, as they cannot be independent from each other. So you cannot only create models, but without really delivering on the structure and without integrating to other policies, for example. And last but not least, do all stakeholders listed in the work program need to be targeted by the action? Here, it's a bit, of course, it depends. We know that it's a lot to target all the stakeholders, especially in 3 or more member states. So we can answer to the contrary. So if you don't have a good amount of stakeholders, or you don't convince the evaluators that most of the categories are represented, then your proposal will be very weak. In particular, as I will never be tired of saying, what we are looking for is, of course, collaboration among stakeholders, but on top of that, collaboration amongst different levels in the public administration in each member state. So this should be guaranteed by the presence in the consortium or by submitting a trustable or credible letter of support of a ministry and or a national energy agency and or, for example, an association of local or regional authorities. With this, I cannot give you example of projects from the past because, of course, this is a new topic. So I hope that next year we can give your proposals, which will have become projects as examples. Of course, these are all the details that you need to, in case you need to contact us. And the last thing I need to tell you is thank you for watching this and good luck with the preparation of your proposals. Bye.